Thought Media Network is proud to present Cosmic Prayers, your weekly shift, Mondays at 11 Mountain Time, with your host, Laura Topper. The Cosmic Prayers, live from the UK. And now, here she is, Laura Topper.
Hello, what an introduction. And I'm so pleased to be here. I'm so honored to be here and grateful with Reverend Sharri Johnson. How are you, Reverend Sharri?
Oh, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I love it when you say that. Welcome to the Cosmic Prayer. This is such a great opportunity for us to share and to learn more about you and your spiritual practice and what really gets you going about prayer. I'm just really interested, before we delve into those questions and your answers and this conversation, this deeper conversation. You are a Center for Spiritual Living, Science of Mind minister and reverend. And how long have you actually been a minister for?
It has been 3 years and a week.
And a week?
Yeah. But who's counting?
I just wondered, because I know for myself, being, as a practitioner, that prayer is such an incredible foundational part of my spiritual practice, and learning how to use it and really embody it and embrace it. And I just wonder for you how that has how prayer has enriched your life, especially in the last 3 years as a minister.
Oh, well, deeply, and deeply. I've been here in Arkansas for 3 years. I moved here with my husband to start a retreat center, the one and only CSL affiliated retreat center on earth. And 5 months after we arrived, my husband was diagnosed with lung cancer and died. Boom. All of a sudden, it was just me and God, plus 2 dogs and a cat and assorted rabbits and armadillos. And if it weren't for prayer, I don't think I could have survived it. At first, I was, really angry at God for bringing me here to do this work and then leaving me all alone. And it was prayer practice. In particular, 2 forms of prayer: meditation, which is listening to God, and contemplation, which is sort of talking to yourself and letting God listen. That helped me to realize that God didn't leave me here all alone. One heart is run by God and company. And once I stopped being afraid, because, when you go from being a teen to being a person, fear just jumps up and does a little dance all around you. When I was able to release the fear and really be conscious, be present to the fact that I was the only human here, but I have never, ever been alone here. I have never been the source of anything that happened here. I've just been the body that the source acts through. And then when I got to that point, I began to realize that prayer was my lifeline. That there's a place in me, which is of course in everyone, where all of the illusions of separation dissipate. And I can just be in God and feel God being me. I have talked for a living for 50 years now, and I got to tell you, this is beyond description. The feeling is so enormous. And so numinous. That's the word I'm looking for. Numinous.
Yeah.
It's something that it's always there. But when I'm doing, sometimes I glance away. I forget. And I get involved in the doing. But I have found that I do much more efficiently now that I have stopped worrying about doing and started thinking about being instead.
Yeah.
And prayer is the absolute essence of being for me.
Wow.
Some of the things I were.
Now, I was just going to say in there, I just loved what you just said about prayer being your lifeline. I mean, that is such a courageous situation and experience that you were being called, that you have been called to be in that experience, and to open the retreat center, be there with your husband, and then be on your own. I'm really moved, and my heart really, it's a really moving story, and it's not a story, it's your life, and which is, it just feels the courage that you were given and that you tapped into through prayer, is something that I'm sure the listeners here on New Thought Media Network listening, if you're listening live or catching up, it's really touched my heart, and I can feel how prayer has been such a bedrock for your life.
The amazing thing about the courage is that it's absolutely here. But I haven't ever noticed that I was being courageous. I never felt courageous. I just was present. I just was doing whatever God put in front of me to do, and taking it one step at a time. And one of the mantras that I use every single day is, God is not wearing my wristwatch. And sometimes I preface it with, God is driving the bus. My job is just to ride along and do whatever comes up for me to do. And God is not wearing my wristwatch. I don't have, God is not concerned with my time. And when I say that enough, somehow I got to a place where I stopped wearing a wristwatch.
Yeah.
Because time is so not of the essence anymore.
So I'm hearing from you that you have educated yourself to live your life as a prayer.
Yes, that's absolutely what it is. And it's a really giddy feeling sometimes. I wake up smiling. I hear thunder and I smile. I see the cows in the pasture outside my prayer room window and I smile. Everything makes me smile, because I absolutely know it at some kind of subcellular quantum consciousness level that God's got it. I'm the hands and the feet and the mouth and the heart, but God's got it. God's the actor. Yeah. God's the source. God's the inspiration. And sometimes it makes me laugh. I was out walking my dogs the other morning, and it was the most gorgeous morning I'd ever seen, and it was not hot. It's really hot here, but it was cool and beautiful. And I just started laughing. I said, oh, God, sometimes you are just so cool. You know? And I realized, that's a prayer too.
Yes.
Smiling is a prayer.
Yeah. So it's coming out of that place of, oh, I'm sorry. There's a time lag here with the I love it. It's coming out of that place of feeling that it's about sitting down and intentionally, which is also for me that for me, I personally, I need to have that where I make that intentional decision. Now is my prayer time. It's like a ritual. And yes, of course, what unfolds in the day, prayer, living life as a prayer is an art, isn't it? And having that specific time also as a ritual is a really beautiful thing, because it gives me a sense that I am really consciously participating, to sit and pray and know. And I'm interested, do you use specific types of prayer? Do you lean in on spiritual mind treatment, or do you use other types of prayer maybe? For anyone that's listening now, you're on New Thought Media Network, that's where you are, and Reverend Sharri is here, and we're just talking about prayer. So please share, Reverend Sharri.
Well, my favorite room at One Heart Retreat Center is the prayer room in my home. It's the first time I've had a prayer room, and I have an altar under the window, and there's no curtain on the window, because outside the window is Cardinal Park, a beautiful tiny little park that's full of birds, cardinals and blue jays and mockingbirds and 4 or 5 others whose names I don't know. And on the other side of the park is a cow pasture, and the baby cows come and talk to me at the fence. It's really wonderful. But the first part of my day, I get up, make a quick stop in the bathroom, and then I'm in my prayer room for an hour and a half to 2 hours in the morning. And I do have a ritual. You're right. That's the beauty of spirituality, is that we can create our own rituals. I have 7 that represent the qualities of God that I want to embody. And I have stones and mala beads and bells, that have come. And then in front of the prayer altar is my rocking chair and a bookcase. And I have 8 different books that have summer daily readings. One is Thich Nhat Hanh's book on anger. One is Ernest Holmes' Signs of Mind 365. One is Unity's Daily Word. I first just sit and I look out the window, and God and I have a little chat. Many times my prayers start with, "Listen, God." And that began when I was 12. That's the earliest I can remember doing it, talking out loud and saying, "Listen, God." And I never for a second doubted that I immediately had God's full attention. And so I do my personal waking up the day prayer. And then I do my reading. Then I do a meditation for about 20 minutes. And then I do my prayer for the rest of the world, which is a mala blessing and a Reiki blessing that I do for the whole planet. And then I'm ready to get up and go brush my teeth and start the day.
Incredible. And thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for sharing that, because our daily routines can be very personal, and that's really a wonderful share to inspire people to have that practice on a regular basis and to make it our own, because it can be, we can think that it has to all be kind of rigid and regimented, but I love that you have this, you're looking out the window and you're speaking with God, knowing that God presence within, and you've created this beautiful ritual.
I think everyone can do that. And I think that you always start out with, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
When you begin to want to build a spiritual practice. But eventually you find the types of prayer and the types of reading and the types of meditation that soothe your soul, that allow you to drop the veil and just be. And that's, for me, that's the goal, is to I call it refilling the pitcher. You can't pour anything out of an empty pitcher, and yet most of us as human beings continue to try to do that.
Yeah.
So first thing in the morning, the first thing I do is fill the pitcher. And then I can pour it all over everything.
It's funny, as you're saying this, because I have moved recently, and I have my spiritual practice, spiritual routine, and recently I've moved to a home that is so close to the beach. It's like a 3-minute walk. And when moving here 3 weeks ago, I realized that to be so close to nature would be so beautiful, to go out every single morning and do a walk and actually sit on the beach, regardless of what the weather is, and sit there, because it's not a busy, it's quite secluded. It's a really lovely place, and it's easy to get to. And that's what I've been doing, and changing my routine, my spiritual practice routine in the morning, and really being in nature rather than in a room, which I was used to being in for a long, long time, doing that, as you say, in a room, but actually going out and doing something different. I realize how it's been good to change it up and do something different and be in nature and catch that, and be in the prayer itself, in the nature. I love it. Yeah.
And I also have a cat who meditates with me.
A cat?
Yeah, my dogs are not interested, but I have a cat who can hear me settle to meditate, and he comes and he sits right here while I meditate.
Oh, it's beautiful. So healing for you and your cat.
My husband used to call it a pet poultice. Nothing is more soothing than holding a pet, or what the pet is.
Yeah. So Reverend Sharri, moving on from this, because I do have some more questions about prayer, but I just wanted to reintroduce you again to anybody that is listening. You're here with me and with the amazing Reverend Sharri Johnson, who is a Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living minister, and offers so many beautiful things. If you're here on New Thought Media Network, that's where you are. This is the Facebook page, the place to be for so many great shows and live meditations and prayers that go out throughout all the week. So we're so blessed to have you here, Reverend Sharri, and sharing your insight around prayer and how you use it for your life. It's so interesting to hear how you're expanding your awareness of prayer, and then sharing that out with others, because you have an amazing retreat center in Arkansas, and you run the Global Heart of Peace, which is a okay, yeah. Well, I mean, from where you are, you're running it, so I realize it's and maybe you'd like to and also the Spirit Online Directory, which is great, because that has come since COVID, hasn't it? You're explaining. What is the Spirit Online Directory?
Well, I live in Arkansas, and I am 50% of the Science of Mind population of Arkansas, and the other 50% is another focus minister who lives 3.5 hours away.
Okay.
So in order to have spiritual community, I have to do it online. So what I've created is a section of my website called the Spirit Online Directory, where people can go to find spiritual community and spiritual practice that's available to them through the internet, because they're too far away geographically, they're isolated, and you need to have that feeling.
Yeah.
So there are pages for Sunday and Wednesday services that you just go there and you pick your time zone, you pick your service, and you click and you're there. There are pages for practitioners who offer online services. There are pages for online classes that you can take. Some are free, some are not. There are pages for meditations. There are pages for social gatherings to keep in touch during COVID. There are pages for downloadable apps, and I feel like I'm leaving something out, but I can't imagine what it is. I think that's all
Well,
of the spirit on.
Yeah, it feels like it's an incredible resource for people to actually use to know what's going on and to be able to join in with updating their own spiritual practice and learning more. It's fantastic. Thank you for bringing this into my awareness and into life. Was the inspiration for that through prayer?
Well, sort of. I had a meeting with my mentor, and he said to me, Sharri, how are you? I know how important spiritual community is to you. How do you have spiritual community living where you live? And I said, well, I do it online. I set up made a list of all it. And he said, well, it's dangerous when a mentor says, well, because you're fixing to get him something. And he said, a lot of other people who could use that information. And the next thing I knew, the Spirit Online directory was 10 pages big.
Wow. You see the power of prayer and having a mentor. So can you give some mentorship here for anyone that may be listening now or in the future on New Thought Media Network for those that may feel, oh, my prayer practice has slipped, or I'm not quite sure how to get back into it, or I want to begin and I don't know where to begin because there's so much information out there, particularly now on Zoom. So many people are giving so many classes and teachings. What would you recommend, Reverend Sharri, for a good starting place?
The very first thing I would recommend is to get a prayer partner. Yeah. Especially if you have a computer and you can do Zooms. You can actually see your prayer partner, because then your prayer partner doesn't have to be where you are. I have 5. One lives in Germany. One lives in Florida. One lives in Arizona. One lives in California. And one lives two live in Florida. So, and they can be anywhere. And you're right there in the room with them. Because if you have someone there, we meet. I have one I only meet with once a month, but most of them I meet with every week. And what we do is we catch up on what our week's been like. We each have a prayer list that we have for the other one, and we pray daily for our prayer partner, for their intentions. And they pray daily for ours. So I know at any time there are 5 people at least praying for me.
Yeah, it's very powerful, isn't it, to have that?
I'm getting God bumps thinking about it. Prayer partners are the most wonderful thing, the most powerful thing you can do for your own spiritual practice is to have a prayer partner.
Yeah. I have prayer partners as well, and I must say it's the power of praying for someone else as well, and that giving experience is very wholesome, isn't it? Knowing that there's this reciprocal action going on between yourself and the prayer partner, and it's all for so much for the demonstration, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and reciprocity is only a tiny piece of it, because what prayer partners actually do is activate synchronicity. They activate synergy. They intensify the power of the experience we have of oneness.
Yes.
And what prayer is all about is experiencing oneness.
Do you have a section for this on your directory for prayer partners?
I have not, but that's a great idea. I could add one. And people could just sign up to be prayer partners. Let me just make a little note here.
That just came to me because of your conversation about I just thought, wow.
Well, I once started I set up a bulletin board for foster grandparents. We called it a granny registry, because I lived 1,000 miles from, at that time, my only grandchild. I have 13 them now.
13.
But
13.
yes, and 3
Whoa.
Well, only 4 of them are related to me, but you could ask any of them and they'll look in the eye and say, blood makes relatives, love makes family. She's my grandma.
I love it.
So yeah, I can do that. I will add a prayer partner page. And we'll figure out. I'm not sure what the logistics will be, but we'll figure it out.
Spirit will work it out.
Absolutely. God and company never is closed.
Reverend Sharri, we have 5 minutes left, and I wonder if you would like to pray us out with a spiritual mind treatment of, coming from your heart. How would you feel about that?
Oh, I would love to. I like praying out loud more than anything else in the world.
Oh,
well,
fantastic.
Oh, I would. Okay.
Okay, before you do, I'd just like to say we are on New Thought Media Network. This is Reverend Sharri Johnson. It's been incredible being here with her, and she's going to pray us out now. And if anybody is moved and touched and feels the need to give a love offering to this incredible New Thought online offering here with New Thought Radio Media Network, then please feel free to do that. There is a link here below on the Facebook page. So I'm going to close my eyes, Reverend Sharri, and let this wash over me and in me.
So I invite you and anyone who's listening to just relax and allow the chair to support you. And focus on your breathing. And realize as you breathe in deeply and gently that what we breathe in is the presence of God. And what we breathe out is love. So I take a deep breath of presence. And I breathe out a big breath of love. And I know that love is just another name for God. It's infinite. It's eternal. It is unlimited. And it is unconditional. God is all there is. And I am always and ever surrounded, supported, and suffused by that infinite loving presence. It is what I am. And in this awareness, there is no separation. There is no place where God stops and I start. There is no place where I stop and somebody else starts. There is only being. There is only truth. There is only wholeness. There is only peace. All I am is what God is. And all of what God is, God put into creating me. So I am, as every human being is, a perfect manifestation of a unique and wonderful idea in the mind of God. All that I need to know is mine to know, because my mind is a point of consciousness in the infinite mind of God. That is the source of all intelligence, all imagination, all inspiration, all guidance. And what I know about God is that God never shuts up. So I always listen. And every question is answered. And the answers make sense. No matter what the challenge is in my life, I know that all is well, no matter what it looks like. All is well, no matter what it sounds like. All is well, no matter what it feels like. All is well, no matter what, because God has got my back. All is well, no matter what. And I am grateful as I release this word into the law, knowing that it was inspired by divine mind and it is made manifest even as we speak through divine law. All is well, and I am grateful. And so it is, and so I celebrate.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Sharri. It's been so great to be here with you on the Cosmic Prayer. I love it. I want to give you a hug.
Here we go. Left hand on the right shoulder. Right hand on the left shoulder. Squeeze.
Squeeze. I love it. Will you come back and be here again?
Absolutely. I would love
Good. Thank you, Reverend Sharri. For anybody that is listening or catching up with this, Reverend Sharri Johnson, you are on New Thought Media and Radio Network. Love to you.
New Thought Media Network is proud to present Cosmic Prayers, your weekly shift Mondays at 11 Mountain Time with your host